Read it yourself. Robinson Crusoe, a Ladybird book. When Robinson Crusoe was a boy, he wanted to go to sea. His parents would not let him go. "There are so many dangers at sea," they said. "Stay here with us. You'll have much more fun here." Many years went by, and at last Robinson Crusoe was a man. Again he asked his parents to let him go to sea. Again his parents said, "No, you must stay here with us." By now, Robinson Crusoe was tired of waiting. He ran away with a friend and went to sea on a big ship. Robinson Crusoe was pleased to be at sea. He liked the work and he made some good friends on the ship. Then one afternoon there was a storm. Big waves crashed onto the ship, and Robinson Crusoe remembered all the dangers his parents had talked about. He was sorry he had run away from home. "After this I will go home and stay there," he said to himself. "I will not come to sea again." Then there was a crash. A big wave came and pulled Robinson Crusoe off the ship and into the water. It was a good thing he could swim. He could not see where he was going, but he swam on and on. At last he came to an island. Tired out, he walked up the beach to get away from the big waves. Then he pulled himself up into a tree and stayed there all night. When the sun came up the next day, Robinson Crusoe jumped down from the tree and went to look for other men from the ship. He looked on the beach and in the trees, but he could see no one. He called out again and again, but no one was there. Robinson Crusoe looked out to sea, and there he saw the ship that he had been on. He swam out to it to look for his friends. He called and called, but no one was there. Then he saw the ship's dog and 2 cats. He was pleased to have some friends at last. "You can come to my island with me," he said. As he looked about the ship, Robinson Crusoe saw many other things that he wanted to take to the island with him. He had to make a raft to put all the things on, and then he called to the dog and the cats, and off they all went to the island. It was hard work for Robinson Crusoe, but the dog and the cats liked it. Robinson Crusoe wanted to go out to the ship again the next day, but that night the storm came up again. There was a crash, and Robinson Crusoe looked up and saw his ship go down into the water. He was sorry to see it go, but pleased he had taken so many of the things he wanted from it. Now that the ship had gone, Robinson Crusoe knew that he would have to stay on the island. "I must get to work and make a good house," he said to himself. "I will make it on top of the hill so that I can look out to sea." Robinson Crusoe cut down some big trees to make his house. He worked hard for days and days, and at last it was ready. Robinson Crusoe was pleased with his house. "Now I can sit by my window and see when a ship comes," he said. "Oh, but how can I let the ship know I'm here? I'll have to make a fire to signal to it." Robinson Crusoe went down to the beach to make his signal fire. His dog helped him to get it ready. Now all that he had to do was light it when he saw a ship. By now, Robinson Crusoe had been on the island for days and days. "I must make a calendar to help me remember how long I have been here," he said. "I will get a big stick and put 1 cut on each day, and then I can look at it and work out how many days I've been here." Robinson Crusoe put his calendar on the beach. It looked funny, but it worked, and he was pleased with it. One day, Robinson Crusoe wanted to have a good look at his island. Off he went with his dog running after him. He looked down the beach and saw some goats. Goats give milk, he said to himself, and milk is one of the things I want. I must get some goats and keep them by my house on the hill. But how can I get them? It'll be hard work. It was hard work. All that day, Robinson Crusoe and his dog ran up and down the beach after the goats. Robinson Crusoe was soon tired out, but he would not give up. And at last he had some goats to take home with him. There was one big goat and 2 little ones. He was pleased with his day's work, and now he would have all the milk that he wanted. As the years went by, Robinson Crusoe's clothes became more and more ragged. He had to make himself some new clothes from goat skins. After that, he made an umbrella to keep the sun off him as he went about his work. He was pleased with his new clothes and his umbrella. Robinson Crusoe was working near his house one day when he picked up a bag that had come from the ship. Some corn dropped out of the bag. Some days after that, Robinson Crusoe saw something growing. He remembered the bag and the corn that he had dropped. This must be the corn that is growing here. I will water it and look after it. It would be good to have some corn to make into bread. Robinson Crusoe made some pots to keep his corn in. He was so pleased with them that he made some more to put his goat's milk in. He was sorry to see the milk run out again. Then he remembered the pots he had made at school when he was a little boy. He remembered that they had to be fired to make them hard. Robinson Crusoe made a big fire and put some of his pots in it. He worked all day and all night to keep the fire going. The next day he pulled the pots out of the fire with a stick. He put some milk in the fired pots, and the milk stayed there. Robinson Crusoe was so pleased with himself. One afternoon, Robinson Crusoe was out watering his corn. He looked up and saw a ship. He fired his gun and he ran to light his signal fire, and then he waited on the beach for the ship to come and get him. But no one on the ship saw the signals. Robinson Crusoe called out and waved, but it was no good. The ship went on by. By now, Robinson Crusoe had been on the island for many years. He had goats and corn and a good house, but he had no one to talk to. He wanted to get away from the island. I must make a boat to take me away from here, he said. Robinson Crusoe looked for the biggest tree on the island. He cut it down to make into a boat. It was hard work, but at last it was ready. Robinson Crusoe pulled and pulled, but the boat was too big. He could not get it down to the beach. One day, when Robinson Crusoe was walking on the beach, he saw a footprint. He could see that it was not his footprint, as it was too big. He looked about him. Who could have made this footprint, he asked. It was not me. There must be someone here on my island. I will have to have a look and see who it is. Robinson Crusoe looked up and down the beach to see who had made the footprint. Then he saw some men with little boats down by the water. One man was running away from the others. He ran to Robinson Crusoe, and the other men ran after him. "Oh, I must help that man," Robinson Crusoe said to himself. Robinson Crusoe said to the man, "Come with me and I will help you." and he fired his gun and the other men ran off. Robinson Crusoe was pleased to have a friend again. "Today is Friday," he said, "so I will call you Friday. Come on, I will take you to see my house and my island, and you can stay here with me for as long as you like." Friday went home with Robinson Crusoe. He liked the house and was pleased to stay there. He helped Robinson Crusoe to milk the goats, water the corn, and make the bread. Robinson Crusoe was pleased to have a friend to talk to. He talked to Friday in English, and soon Friday could speak English too. One day, Friday was on the beach and Robinson Crusoe was working near his house. Friday came running up from the beach. "Robinson, Robinson," he called, "come, come, big, big boat." Robinson Crusoe looked out to sea. Yes, there was a ship coming. Robinson Crusoe ran down to the beach, calling and waving as he went. He lit his fire to signal the ship. The captain saw the signal and stopped the ship. He let a boat down into the water and went to see what Robinson Crusoe wanted. The captain of the ship was English. He said he would take Robinson Crusoe and Friday home with him. They thanked the captain and went to get the things they wanted to take on the ship with them. Robinson Crusoe was pleased to be going home at last, but he was sorry to go away from his house, his goats, his corn, and the island that had been his home for so many